So again, hi folks, and welcome to a new day. And say again, well done you for getting here. Um, it's not easy current times, but you've done it and you're here, so that's good. I want to continue on past video really around relationships, which is a big thing of all of our lives, I suppose, and talk very briefly about the three things within relationships. That sense of uh, we love somebody, we want to be with them, and we are prepared to do what needs to be done to make the relationship work. And that's the core of any relationship. And if you can say with confidence for each person that that's what you want to do, then that's a good starting point to overcome that. The real difficulty then is around communication. And communication isn't just being able to open your mouth and talk. It is a process in its own right, and it's a difficult. It can be a difficult process because if you heard me say before, we only tend to talk when we're in crisis, and that's not the best time to be doing it because if you want to talk to anybody at any time, it's really only an invitation. It's say, can you come and listen to what I have to say? And for that to happen, it just you can't force that. You can only invite people to be part of that, to hear and understand where you're coming from, but to equally to be able to offer out to them a sense of I want to hear and understand where you're coming from. And there is a kind of common consensus that we're looking for solutions to whatever the problem is. Because if you know within any relationship you can talk to your partner about anything and they will listen, then you've got the wherewithal to deal with most things. Um, Americans talk about date nights and things like that, and that's an important thing as well, that we actually take time out to just celebrate the two people in the relationship and all the responsibilities they have, because that's really important. But the first thing they know is if I said you don't, it's not about talking when we're in crisis, but it's actually from day one knowing that we have maybe a weekly check, and particularly in these times, it's important that we can sit down and say, look, how we doing, how we managing, what's the difficulties and all that's going through. Can we look at some way of finding a solution to them? Because in a relationship, you're in it together, and when it doesn't feel to be that way, that's when difficulties can happen, when it seems to be all down to one or the other. Or more importantly, when I talked about the equality, but that you don't feel your voice is heard or what your viewpoints matter in the relationship. And it's really, really important that that is there. And the idea of having, time out effectively to sit down and talk, and I'm not saying for hours, but it's more important, look, if there's something going on, we can talk about it. Then hopefully, if we give that commitment to finding the solution, then we're going a long way to help whatever it is. But because we're so busy, often, we don't make that time. Or as I said already, we only talk when, we're forced to talk, and that's not the best time because, you know, um, they actually do that, and I'll talk in the next video about that essay process. You need to actually set it up and understand what you're going to do and why you're going to do it and how you're going to do that. But it is important you set it aside, really on at least on a weekly basis. And you may have nothing to talk about, but it is really about being able to come and say, well, look, I know that if I need to talk to you, I can come and do that. It's not a problem. And I know you're there. And that gives me confidence that you're listening to me, that what I have to say matters. You take it on board, and that we're in this together, finding a solution, forward for what that is. And particularly, everybody kind of retreats, particularly in this crisis, in their own head and their own thoughts. And we can even find we don't want to burden our partner with those troubles and concerns because they get enough of their own. But believe you me, I know enough when talking to couples and relationships. It doesn't stop you thinking them. And clearly, when we're with anybody for a period of time, we can read them very well. And while they may not be saying, we know there's something going on. And sadly, if you hold on to that and you don't talk about it, then there's no chance they have a resolve. And if it is part of the relationship and it's anything that's impacting the relationship, then it's really, really important that you're able to talk to them about that. And in the next video, we'll actually talk about the whole process of communication, because that's what it kind of boils down to. Communication from an equal perspective. And to say the equal isn't 50-50, it just means that my voice is heard, your voice is heard, we have a consensus, we find a way forward, and that'll get us through the difficulties. And if we have to seek, insider support from other people to help us do it, then that's fine. The important bit is, this is healthy for us and it's healthy for relationships, and by default, it's healthier for, the children in our relationships can actually see us and see us modeling how we can talk and get on together and deal with life problems in a way that, that doesn't involve, escaping into drink or drugs, or using abusive language to try and force somebody to their will. So again, I say, talk gently to yourself, treat yourself kindly and lovingly, and the exact same, particularly to those you're in a relationship with and those that you're around. Talk gently to them, treat them kindly and lovingly, and you'll find that'll help, in any communication and relationship that you tend to have. So, good to talk to you again. Stay calm. Hope I wish you peace for the rest of the day, and we'll talk again tomorrow. Bye for now.